I think if we have the wall back here, someone is working on painting, trying to make this room more inviting. We usually have families in this room. But yeah, I mean, we're really focused on making things as comfortable as possible. And one thing that ties into this is the FLRN, which we're going to talk about a little later, Finger Lakes Resiliency Network, which again is really like, this is the foundation, is, trauma-informed care, and what, how can we connect to other agencies, share resources, help any other agencies that are, working towards trauma-informed as well. Yeah. One of our biggest platforms.
Yes. We have, I think it would be important just to say it out loud what that says. Individual trauma results from an event, series of events, or set of circumstances that is experienced by individuals as physically or emotionally harmful or life-threatening, and that has lasting adverse effects on the individual's functioning and mental, physical, social, emotional, or spiritual well-being, which is a lot of words, but that is where we operate from. That a lot of the majority of our clients have experienced some form of trauma, and to be trauma informed on all levels, as Carrie was saying, the environment, right? Yeah. The environment is just as important as the way that a client interacts with one of our therapists or our front desk staff, or we're just, and that's part of the Finger Lakes Resiliency Network, is making, or not making, I'm sorry, that's probably the wrong word, helping to support others in their trauma-informed care approach as well.
Any questions so far? So now we're going into more specific services in our different categories. Again, I think from my perspective, and maybe not, the counseling always seems like the thing that most people knew about us. And so this might be for a lot of people familiar. So we have our counseling and trauma services, and it lists like the different levels of services that we engage in. The different offices, it seems to have different focus. Sometimes, like here, it seems like, like we were talking about the co-located, we work a lot with the CAC, and, providing support and seeing clients here. And then Amy Dake, who also is a co-located therapist there, she and I will go to the CAC when we can again. It's open, but we're trying to work with another therapist who's in that office to kind of get that back going and running. But like when in Newark, there's a lot of cases that come from DSS. So it's like offices sometimes seem to have a little bit of a different focus. Erin, that's not right.
No, let me know. That's true. I mean, we all have different skill sets and different backgrounds. We have all sorts of different types of therapists here. The first ones that come to mind: licensed creative arts therapist, licensed mental health therapist, licensed clinical social workers. I think that's about it.
Yeah, I think those are our big ones. Yeah. Okay, and then EAP. So we contract with some EAPs. I know that changed a little bit in terms of who we're taking. But if you ever have anybody has a question about which EAPs, you can always give the offices a call and see which ones are being taken right now. But I believe one of our front desk staff said that had changed a little since I've been here.
Yeah, we've built the program quite a bit.
Yeah,
there's more and more people joining us.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, it is great.
Like I said, co-located, school-based, that has changed so much since the last time I was here. We're in a lot of different school districts now. Like at first it was Lyons and Geneva were big ones, and now Canandaigua, there's a counselor in the Canandaigua schools, I believe, middle school and high school? Yep, middle school and high school.
I'm sorry, elementary and middle.
Elementary and middle, okay, sorry, elementary and middle, okay.
Canandaigua, we just got a contract with
Seneca Falls.
I'm blanking out on all the other schools.
I know, I'm trying to.
There's a bunch.
Oh.
We're growing faster than we can keep up with at times.
Yeah. Yeah, so our co-located school-based therapists spend most of their time in the schools, but they do come here for like a day to see clients. But if it's better for somebody to be seen in school, if it's just easier, for the families, we have them there that can do more of the counseling piece. I still think in a school, when I was here, I was in Geneva school. I think sometimes it can be limiting in the school because you've got maybe like half an hour, and, teachers, want their kids in class, which understandable. So I think sometimes time-wise, it does get limited. And when you try to process things, there's so much else going on for the kids. It's hard to, kind of tread that line of being, processing with them, but not sending them back to a class triggered. And then all of a sudden, we've got a bigger issue going on. But they do try to do more of the counseling piece. So the social worker, and again, this is at least Geneva school. So the social worker did a lot of their groups and social skills. They were going into classrooms and doing a whole like skills-based learning program. It was awesome to see. So they do try to go in and do more of the processing, more of the trauma work if they can. But I think in a school, always there's, at least in my perspective, I was there. Forensic interviewing. We have Lindy right now, Lindy Powers, who does forensic interviewing. Is there anybody else at the moment?
Sarah Woodworth is trained, but I don't think she works primarily in the Lions School District. She hasn't done a lot of the forensic interviewing.
Okay, so she's trained. Is anybody else trained at this time?
Not that I'm aware of. No.
Okay, Lindy does most of, I guess Lindy right now does all of the forensic interviewing. We have some people trained. Like actually Lewis, our director of counseling and trauma services, is trained, but with her position, she's not able to do that. She used to be doing some of the interviews. So Lindy takes on our interviews. So she's a fantastic resource with any questions about the process, why things are done a certain way, why certain people are in the interview, certain people aren't, what they might be looking for, like why something was founded or unfounded, even if it's just more on a general level talking about that, not just a specific case. She's a wonderful resource for that. I've used her several times.
Yes.
And then Seeking Safety, Erin, that's you.
Yeah, so Seeking Safety is a group that originated with a contract with Ontario County Probation Department. It's a group for women who have experienced trauma. So the way that they are able to get into the group is they do their ACEs assessment, and an ACE score of 1 or more, you're eligible for the group. So the group is all about PTSD psychoeducation on all levels, and then I incorporate a lot of art therapy, and it's been a really productive and great group. These women come in thinking that it's just another, I wouldn't say forced, but mandated group that they need to sit there and listen, and really it's more of an interactive group where we really hone in on what's needed to heal when you are when you've experienced trauma in your life. Yeah. Can't wait to get that started. It's been on pause for months now. Thank you, COVID. But once we get that started, the thought is one of the goals is to have a teen group, same type of curriculum, and we're going to be expanding the group for basically anyone in our program, and so it doesn't have to necessarily come from Ontario County Probation Department moving forward. So we'll let people know more once we know more. COVID's really put a pause on that. So
I know.
Yeah.
It's a great group.
It is a great group.
Yeah. Yeah. So for the counseling and trauma services, most of the funding comes from the Office of Victim Services. And again, I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with that. But that gives those that are identified as a victim free services for counseling. So we use that a lot. So a lot of people can come and have that funding and are not paying for the services, which is awesome.
And victim of a crime.
Victim of a crime. Right. Yep.
So victim of a crime would include those that have experienced domestic violence, witnessing domestic violence as a child abuse of any kind, sexual abuse of any kind, and any form of crime that naturally comes to mind. I'm trying to think, did I leave any? I mean,
I
it's
think
pretty
those are,
broad.
yeah, it's broad. I think those are the ones that we see mostly in our offices.
Right.
A lot of domestic violence, a lot of victims of child sexual abuse, or physical abuse, emotional abuse, usually all of those at once. So I think that's the biggest population that we tend to get referrals from.
Yep.
Yeah, and so that's an awesome service, because a lot of people come and I've had several clients come and are worried about that. Will ask me like, well, what's the cost of counseling? I'm worried about that. And, we can talk about the fact that we've got this OBS grant for them, as a benefit to help, them get back on track. And OVS does lots of other different things. We do have the case managers that will help with an OVS application if they have the necessary documentation. So we do have that too, that we can, give them somebody that's going to sit and focus on filling out that application. Because sometimes, as in counseling sessions, it's hard to get everything. Yeah, so that's great. Anything else with our counseling and trauma services?
Not that comes to mind at the moment.
Okay.
I think we're good.
Okay. Are there any questions after that? I don't know if that was like a lot of information about different programs, so I just wanted to pause and see if anybody.
Carrie and Aaron, this is Marcia Foote from the Youth Bureau. Question about the school-based. You've been working with the school districts in the reopening and the amount of trauma that our students and faculty and staff are going to be coming back into the schools with. I'm curious about that. And the other question I have for you is, in all the groupings, do you do stuff with restorative practices? The circles and I didn't know if your counselors were trained in that or not.
Can you elaborate on restorative practices?
Well, it's through dispute settlement. They do the restorative practices where you're in a group and you have the talking stick and only one person can talk at a time, and it builds a safe environment for groups to work in. We do, the coalition does different trainings in that so that people are familiar.
Oh, that's wonderful. I know with the group that I run, the Seeking Safety group, there's no talking stick, but that is one of our group rules is one microphone, one person, one mic. That's something I'd be interested in hearing more about for sure.
Okay, I can connect you with Kim from Dispute Settlement.
Okay.
Yeah, that's great. I can't think of anybody who's like specifically trained in the restorative practice in our agency. I think there's probably a lot of elements that are similar that we might use, but that would be, awesome to learn more about.
Okay.
Protocol. Cool.
Yeah.
And your question about school-based, some are brand new programs. So I can give you the example of our Canandaigua school-based co-located therapist. She actually started in March. So it was the most awkward time to start a job where we're all quarantined. And so it's been, some of the programs are a little slower getting really with us being connected. But then I think of Sarah at our Lions School District, and as well as Lindy and everyone in the Geneva School District. They are definitely part of all of the communications around what needs the children will have coming back, and as well, like you said, the staff. I mean, this is a very unique time where this whole year has been, we've all experienced trauma just based on all the changes and everything just not being quote unquote normal. So the two individuals who are in schools here, I can think of Allison, who's in Canandaigua, and Sarah, who's in our Lions School District. They both, like, every day are saying, I can't wait to get back into the schools. So they're very motivated to get back to help the way they can. I know that they do have a frustration with not knowing exactly how that's going to be planned, because the schools are just so focused on what are we going to do? Like, where's, what protocols they have to put in place, and, how's it going to look
for the students coming in, what's the safest practice. My mom's actually a teacher, so I just kind of hear her go through the list of things that they have to figure out. So I think sometimes it's hard for them to, kind of split that attention then into like our counselors. So I know that they're like really motivated and want to get back in, and the schools are, doing their best to, kind of get us back in there. But it seems like they are just so focused, and some of like their plans didn't even seem like they were solid until recently, and school starts in like a week.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be really interested, and Erin, as supervisor, will, always be in touch with them and have like a lot more information about the school specifically, or school individuals.
Right.
But I know that they're so excited to get back in and help. But it's gonna be interesting.
Yes, I have read the school plans for our 9 school districts in Ontario County, and every one of them is unique to the school.
Yeah.
Has family counseling had the opportunity to meet the new superintendent of Geneva schools, city schools, Dr. Garcia?
I'm assuming they have, knowing how involved that team is. I couldn't tell you 100% because that's the team that Scott Ostrowski is the supervisor for. So I can't really answer that, but my initial thought is, oh yeah, for sure, because of how connected everyone is.
Yeah, she's amazing. Bilingual. I think she's come to Geneva at the right time, especially with all this.
That's really good.
Yeah. And if there's any contact information that you want for one of these individuals, like we can definitely help out. Like, so for Scott's email, if there's a question there. Ashley Lewis, who like I said is the director, has been really involved in the school process and getting these contracts. She talks about it frequently, like what's happening and what she's doing. And yeah, she's been really, really involved back in. Erin, as supervisor, has been helping like Sarah and Allison figure this out. So yeah, everyone's so excited to get back.
Yeah, and it just dawned on me. I don't, like you said, Marcia, that every school seems to have a different plan, or at least different nuances.
Yeah.
I know Sarah had mentioned that there'll be rolling desks in Lions.
Oh yeah,
and
I just heard that.
Oh my gosh, that is so odd. So that you bring your desk with you to each class. So I'm laughing because I'm thinking of bumper cars and
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. It's a lot of unknowns and uncertainty. And we're here to support in any way we can.
Any other questions? And again, if there's any information that we don't have specifically, we can, check in or, provide some contact information. I think especially supervisors are so open to answer like things going on in their program. Let's see. So the next big piece is the advocacy and community services, which I think has grown and is these are all of our different programs. I just realized the school was yeah.
Well, we have an advocate, in the schools as well as a therapist.
Yeah, I just saw that. I thought, well, let me make sure to clarify because I didn't want to be confusing. There was in the counseling one too.
Yep.
But yeah, these are all of our different advocacy services. There's so many different nuances in each of those. Our domestic violence program has a hotline that is staffed, obviously 24/7. And so they're always, there for someone, referring them to the different programs, getting them connected to resources. We have a lot of domestic violence advocates that are ready to help. Our case management services, like I said, a big thing of case management, from what the case managers have said, is the OBS applications, sitting down if they don't have someone to do that and filling out the OBS applications. I know some other organizations have someone doing that. I know, like I've talked with Melissa at the CAC who had someone doing an OBS application and talked about like who was doing that with her and or with this client. And so I know that there's other organizations helping with that as well.
The Domestic Violence Accountability Program is ran by Amy. I always say her name wrong. Barbrias.
Yes.
Barbrias.
Yes. Yes.
That's a program for perpetrators of domestic violence. LGBTQ program of the Finger Lakes. Yes, it's also ran by Amy, the same Amy, and Mitch Lee. And they're doing a lot of virtual groups at this point. One group is called Yana. It stands for You Are Not Alone. And we can forward any information at any time if you guys are interested in any of the groups that they have online. We have bilingual family services. Several staff are bilingual in our agency. Project Promise is a group, a bunch of different groups for teens who are either currently pregnant or already have children. So Project Promise is to help them understand how trauma can affect parenting as well as parenting skills. Is there anything more you wanted to?
Well, I think with the LGBTQ program, one thing I just learned when coming back and getting back into it that Mitch and Amy said is there have been so many services for these individuals that have been shut down that they're like the only service between Albany and Buffalo that provides these groups and provides resources and support. So Amy and Mitch are amazing with this program, and they're doing as much as they can, especially now that they know that all these other services are closing, and I'm not actually sure specifics of why all these other services are closing, but they were just saying recently, like several others that are no longer in service now. So they are trying very hard to be accessible, to be known. They are always ready to give us their email and phone number to send out to people, so they can help in whatever way possible. So they're amazing. They just did a safe zone training for our staff. So just talking about terminology and the difficulties this population faces and all the changes that have been happening. So they do that training to provide all those updates for us. So that's a really, really. I mean, they're all really great programs, but I know that they're really trying to make sure that they're a force in the community, especially since we don't have as many. Yeah. I was thinking with this slide. Any questions about this one? Again, I feel like there's just so many programs and so many things to say. I don't want to be completely overwhelming, but give you guys everything. So there's always, like I said, contact information that we can go more specific. But yeah, any questions with these services?
I'm just wondering.
Or any questions so far? Yeah.
So are there any groups that are specifically for men?
I know we've talked in the past about doing more of like a seeking safety type group for men. That hasn't gotten started yet. I think again, COVID has really put a halt to a lot of our group planning. So currently no, but yes, in like part of our planning for the future, yes.
That was going to be my next question too, so I'm glad you brought that up. With COVID, are you able to meet or run groups in a virtual way, or have you kind of just halted those for the time being?
So I know that, yes, we are able to run virtual groups. We've had to really work pretty hard to make sure that we're covering all aspects of what a group entails, confidentiality, safety. And so we're still, I think we're just about to launch a program, now I'm blanking out on the name, that Allison and Sarah are running for students from age 10 to 13.
Yeah, it goes around that, yeah.
Yeah, so they're starting a virtual group that way. I toyed with the idea of doing Seeking Safety virtually, and I've pretty much made the decision that it's not a group that would be as beneficial, in my opinion, virtually. The whole premise of the group is to be together. And so when I do start the groups up, we'll be together, but we'll be 6 feet apart wearing masks.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we'll have our own tables with our own supplies. And, but yeah, I hope I answered your question. We have just a couple different groups out there virtually at this point, and Yana is another one.
Yep, Yana.
One question, Carrie and Aaron, the Project Promise, do you do anything with young fathers, dads, any groups for them?
Actually, I think a few of the groups, there were some young dads that participated as well. I don't know if it's only, I'm pretty sure it's geared a little bit more toward the mom, but dads have participated as well. Does that make sense? So parents in general.
It does. I just get concerned about them. They seem to be left out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah. It makes sense to be nervous about that, about them being left out. Yeah, the group piece has been, I'm just sitting here thinking about groups, has been tough. I think it actually is writing up all these different like protocols and things about confidentiality with groups, especially if we're using Zoom or any other platform. And I think at first, you know, like most with COVID, groups stopped and it was like, okay, we'll pick up when we can. And then I think once we all just realized that this was going to go on much longer than we thought, then there was this stepping back and going, okay, let's just make sure though, before we go into a group, you know, we've got these like policy and procedures written to promote safety. I think there have been sometimes concerns of like when you're on a phone call, even individually, knowing that you can hear somebody in the background and wondering like, okay, wait, how do we get to just a one-on-one spot? You know, even if that client's like, oh, that's okay, there's somebody in the background, you know, kind of always having our, like, do we want that? Like, you know, if they choose to have somebody in the background, you know, or, you know, how does that go? And what's, you know, sometimes when it comes down to it, what's the liability there too for us? So again, I know Ashley's been really focused on writing that. And anybody else who's involved, I don't know if there's anybody else involved in writing this, but I think that's been a tough one. Groups has been tough to figure out.
They're so beneficial.
Yeah.
And they're needed even more. And I'm assuming they're going to be needed even more, whether they're virtual or not. But the good news with virtual is they're more accessible.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about transportation and when the snow starts falling.
Let's not talk about snow falling right now. I'll talk about that.
So we're definitely, that's part of our future planning, and I'm excited to see that grow. It's just starting to take form at this point, but I definitely foresee that being more and more available in our agency.
Yeah. Great stuff. And I guess too, I was realizing with the advocates, we talked about the case managers doing the OBS application, but with like our domestic violence advocates, they do a lot of other different things. They've accompanied clients to court, helped get order of protections,
Safety
planning, transportation, housing. We actually just had one of our case managers, case manager, talking about housing today with a client. They were trying to find some housing. Yeah, just actually doing that before he came to help out with that. So they do a lot of other things. So I just want to make mention of that because again, we talked about case managers and OBS, but I just wanted to make sure we were getting all the other awesome things they do. They work really hard, and they you know, again, for Jamie, one of our case managers, she is always there with her, you know, with her phone handy, able to help out and when clients are calling. So they're great, all of them.
Yes.
Yeah. I realized I didn't mention that. So yeah, thanks. Anything else before we move on? I keep checking the time. I'm such a timer and like in my counseling sessions and everything, so I keep checking to see what time it is. So FLRN that we've been talking about. So our Finger Lakes Resiliency Network. A lot of words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why we made it into FLRN.
Yes, FLRN. So trying to keep this as, I guess, simple as possible, we just put up what the 5 core values are, and I hope that they come up. Now I realize that that's blue. I don't know if it's easy, but safety, trustworthiness, choice, collaboration, and empowerment. Oh my gosh, I know it's hard to read with that blue. I like the color, but yeah, so we just put that up just to see, like I said, the core values. But that is a network that I don't know when it was created or when it was started.
I would
Now that I
say
think about it,
a couple of years ago.
but I don't think it's down when, a couple of years ago. Yeah. I mean, really, when it comes down to it, this is an organization, I will say, that we really want to network with other organizations and really help and learn about what can we do to be trauma informed, how can we help other agencies if they're have questions about being trauma informed. Again, that's such a huge piece for us, being, like being trauma informed because of the work that we do. That this network, it's again networking,
and it's
really,
community learning. Really.
Yeah.
So it's you sign up and your agency goes through a year-long learning with
thank you.
Yeah. With the different trainers that we have, and it's like Carrie just mentioned, built on 5 core values. And I don't know if you want to just.
Yeah, I have the blurb with me with FLR, and just always to make sure that I'm including everything, because they do education, training, consultation, and providing resources and support to providers who are committed to and invest in becoming trauma informed. And I remember that Caitlin, who used to be our director, would do ACEs training. And so, she did several of those a year, would do the ACEs training.
Well, the trainings have definitely expanded immensely, but if anybody's interested to learn more about our FLRN network, we are happy to send out more information and connect you with the director of that program.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, again, they do a lot of things. So, trying to make it as concise as possible, but including everything. But I complicated to get too, like I said, bogged down because there's just so many different things they do. And so I think, yes, if there's any questions, giving you the contact information for the director. Yeah. That's another big thing. And I know I can remember Barb too talking about that a lot, what FLRN is doing, any suggestions on what else we can be doing. Yeah.
Yes, for sure. And it's grown quite a bit in the past year. Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I know. Coming back here after being away a while, it's been so interesting too to see to see everything. Yeah. Like schools. There were no questions on FLRN. Although I guess I'm curious, are most people familiar with that?
I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I was thinking, I'm sure that a lot of you guys are a part of it. Yeah. All right. More about our trauma-informed care. So way back when we were, well, at least for me, it seems like way back when, because again, it was when I was here, we were looking at all the different elements involved in doing trauma-informed care. And, we were trying to figure out how do we incorporate these elements. At one point, we had teams trying to do this. And as Erin said, on all the different levels, so, down to, like I said, I think you've done great with Canandaigua. Even like space-wise, just trying to make it look nice. And then it seems like it's morphed. And now we've got like these core values that we're focused on and trying to figure out what we can do.
I think that there's so much involved with FLRN and trauma-informed care that's definitely like a whole nother training, and that trying to incorporate and cover it right now would be, we probably butcher it a little bit. So
there's just a lot.
I'm like, let's offer, if anybody's more interested in finding out more about it, we can, again, provide information and contact information to those who are interested.
Yeah, and really it's just these, like the core values you see there, really trying to implement them, again, at every single level. Down to even sometimes, like I remember when I was here working on what assessments can we use that are trauma-informed, that give us information without feeling for clients scary or, triggering them too much. So so we really have just been trying to break down like all the different levels and how can these values be incorporated into those different levels.
And
in different organizations. What that looks like in different organizations. I think Erin said it well. Like it is almost sometimes another whole training. So trying to make it make sense and give you enough details without sort of doing a whole other training. You guys here for an hour. But I know at least someone said that they were familiar with FLRN, so you guys some of this you might know.
For sure.
That's either a refresher or confirming what you know.
So I think we're at the end of our
we're getting
slides, right?
The last one is just sort of this is kind of like our, it's got like Barb saying there, that's like kind of our like official.
Yes.
I don't know what word I'm looking for, actually.
Like our executive director?
Yes, our executive director, but that's kind of like our official thing I see on like some posters or our cards or like letterhead, things like that. So it's kind of our
logo.
Well, thank you. That's great. I like logo. Gotcha. I like logo. But again, we can get, we can provide any other contact information. And I'm realizing, I can't believe I just blanked on that. I blame it on that. I've got like just turning 1-year-old twins at home. So sometimes like ever since having them, I just think my mind like spaces out.
We can certainly, I know Sarah, you have our contact information. If anyone else would like our direct information, please let us know. We're open to any questions, any other, anything at this point. So
and I'm really excited to attend future ones by everyone else. I want to know more, more about all the resources and just any changes. So excited to learn on it.
Carrie and Erin, this is Marsha again. Family counseling service has expanded so big.
Yes.
Just a suggestion, trying to create a pamphlet of all your services would be just, it would be huge. If you check with Catholic Charities, they came up with this creative way of creating an envelope, a pocket, where it's the family counseling, you would have your emblem and everything on it, but inside would be inserts of every one of your programs. So if something changed, you would only have to change that one insert and not the whole issue. So that way people can pull out of the packet that they get what services they need to and the contact information on it. So just a suggestion with your marketing, so that everybody has all those services available to them.
We will absolutely share that, Mark. Thank you.
So hope that helps you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. About that. Like we have some pamphlets. Yes.
We do. We have pamphlets, but it makes sense to have that. I can visualize what you're saying, Martha. it seems much more put together. Like you said, marketing wise, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has. When I came back, they had talked about how it went to how many employees? Like from like 20 or 30 or
We're up to, is it
50,
60s?
60, I think, up into the
We're in
60s
60s
now.
at this point.
Yeah,
And
there's
still
a lot of
growing.
people hired. Yeah, so again, I'm glad to be back, part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Morphed or changed
It really has,
and
yeah.
grown, and I just foresee just continuing
Yeah.
to grow, and it's a wonderful culture, and we're a pretty tight knit group here, very supportive of one another. So we also have a few job openings. We actually have an administrative job position open in our Canandaigua office.
Yeah.
I think we also have some therapy positions available too, if you want to check those out on our website. I think also Indeed. We're having posted Indeed at this point.
Luckily, I haven't had a job search right now, so I haven't looked if it's on Indeed. But yeah, I mean, yeah, we're always kind of trying to expand and figure out where we can grow and who can join our team. So yeah, it's been great.
I'm curious for like our younger kids or even adolescents, are there therapists who offer things like art, music, play therapy?
Oh my goodness, yes.
So this lovely lady is a great resource.
Well, when I had mentioned earlier, LCAT, Licensed Creative Arts Therapist. So the training involved to get that licensure is art therapy, but also the creative process. So that incorporates music, dance, play, movement, body, mind, spirit work, any kind of creative expression. So yes, we actually, as we joke, LCATs are taking over.
Yeah, they are taking over. They really are. So I'm an LMHC, but the LCATs are taking over our agency, which is great for me to learn. And
Amy is a dance movement therapist, as well as working toward her LCAT.
Yeah.
And that's on our program, in Canandaigua. But we also have three graduate level art therapy interns from Nazareth College who just started with us, and they'll be here for the next year. So they'll be able to incorporate even more.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, Sarah, yes to all of those things.
Yeah.
We absolutely do.
And I know, like I said, I'm an LMHC, but we really operate from this idea that those creative arts are, yes, very like useful, but sometimes that's really where with a lot of these kids we start, because we do the NMT training, so the neurosequential model of therapy, yes, and it really is starting at kind of the like lower brain levels where the creative arts is just really helpful to regulate and kind of building from there. So even like us, like as an LMHC, I'm still trying to incorporate the creativity. I tend to be a little bit more structured, so Erin has to help me with like the flexibility sometimes and putting in the creative arts. But we really do, operate with that idea that especially for our, younger kiddos, we really need to be giving them the tools to express themselves in the way that is most natural for them.
And trauma-focused play therapy is something that many of our clinicians are trained in. So
we're always
not just the LCATs.
To do more training. Like I know I'm always looking to do more training on that.
We're always looking for more, which I think is a sign of a good therapist, one that is open and willing to continue to learn, because it's growing every single day and changing every single day. So. I appreciate that question.
Yeah.
I don't know why we didn't speak about those things. Are there any other questions?
I'll ask another one. I know that earlier you mentioned that the advocates assist with orders of protection. Are they actually able to write them in office now as well?
I believe so, yes.
I thought I had heard that at another meeting, and I just wasn't sure and wanted some clarification.
I'm pretty certain they just went through a training, so yes, they're able to do that in-house.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I remember. Yes, now that you said that, I believe they said they went through a training. Yeah.
You may have already mentioned this, and I might just have missed it. Are you now seeing clients in office, or are you mostly doing virtual appointments, or a little both?
We did not mention that, so thank you again for pointing that out. We're doing both.
Both, yeah, a little bit of both.
Yep. And it's up to clients' comfort. And obviously we're following all the CDC guidelines for those that do come into the office.
Except you and I right now. A little bit closer than
We're sitting a little closer
right now, but
we do our health screening and all that.
Yes, we do.
So,
yep. Screening the clients.
Yep, all clients are screened, and mask is essential, as well as like the 6 feet apart distancing. So certain offices we're not utilizing for therapy spaces just because they're a little smaller. But yes, we're also still offering telehealth virtual sessions for those that are more comfortable doing it that way.
Yeah, and some of it's based on therapists too. There are some therapists that are, just more comfortable as well doing more of the telehealth sessions, or they just happen to have a caseload that does more telehealth. I tend to be here every day because, again, I've got 2 small ones at home, so I don't really get much done at home. So I tend to be in the office, but I will still do like telehealth sessions from in the office if somebody's more comfortable. But for the most part, I can think I've got one that does telehealth, and most everybody at this point wants to come in. Usually, like I'm in this room, this family room, so there's a lot of space, and I work a lot with the younger kiddos, so we're usually up and all around. So I try to use this space a lot. But yeah, masks and all those all the protocols, and then we had to add in like when New York State was saying all these other states, if you come in, you have to quarantine. So now we're asking that.
This is I think the agency's responded really well to all of this. It's been a lot of outside of the box thinking and lots of changes.
Yeah, especially offices.
Yes.
Yeah. But that's a great question. We did not mention that.
I'm sure there's a lot we didn't mention now that I'm thinking of it.
I know, there's always so much. I am worried though we're going to forget.
I'm kind of curious too. Have you seen, as an agency whole, have you seen any like shifts in terms of caseload? Like, have there been a lot of clients who have kind of dropped off because they couldn't come in for a while? Or, conversely, have you seen like a big influx because of the need for mental health during the pandemic?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm thinking.
And so far, what I've noticed is actually that people are a little less, at least in the past 6 months or so, people are a little more hesitant to come in.
Yeah.
And more available through telehealth.
Yeah.
But it seems, I would say in the last month, it's starting to get, we're getting busier and busier, which is typical of this time of year. But I think people are really realizing the health needs that they have in their families, and the need for extra support at this time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I can think of one that wants to do telehealth, and then I've got everybody else coming in right now.
Everybody's caseload is different.
Yeah.
For instance, I have a teen client who previously would come in, and she was very much into art therapy processing. And since COVID, she's chosen the telehealth route, and it's just interesting the way our therapy has gone, because through telehealth, it's just not the same as in person.
Oh yeah, I know it can be different. And I think as people are thinking about school opening up and approaching, I think that shifted a little bit of thinking for clients of, okay, like schools are opening, so maybe we can start to go back and start to do in person. So I think I'm curious if we're going to see more of that.
Yeah.
In person as like school. But then my other worry is that if the school opening does not work and then schools get shut down again, how is that going to change? And are we going to kind of have a step back and go more towards telehealth? So, obviously none of us can gauge that or predict how it's going to go. Yeah, definitely a different world for all of us. Any other questions?
I don't have a question, but I would just like to just say something. You know, I make a lot of referrals over to you guys from the CAC and the kids who come in. And I just wanted to say thank you, because you guys really do a great job at making sure that the kids are being seen and that they're being taken care of. And, you know, you get them in so quickly, and it's so important. And I'm so grateful to have you guys available and able to, you know, take on all of the kiddos that I send over, and it's just really great to kind of have you guys in our corner as well. So I just thank you so much.
Thank you for your referrals. I'm just going to turn this part down.
Yeah, adjusting to get back. There we go.
That was Melissa, right? Hi, Melissa.
Yeah, hi. Sorry, I joined kind of late.
That's okay.
I'm so glad to see faces. Never thought I'd be like so excited to be like, oh my gosh, we have faces now and we're seeing people. Yeah. Well, thank you though.
I'm curious who else is here today.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if we can get all of them up.
Sarah, is that something? I'm just curious who has attended and who we've been able to and just show our services to.
Oh, does anybody else want to introduce themselves?
Well, Erin, you know me. It's Katie Hippert from Lakeview here. I'm just kind of trying to figure everything out to pass on to staff and see what else, because I only really thought about counseling before. So.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's been so long since I've seen you.
No.
Hi.
What's up, people? Exciting.
I know. It's so nice to see you.
And you know me, Marsha Foote, Youth Bureau, and as Melissa was saying, please extend to your director. Barb has been an amazing addition to family counseling over the years, and vision is broadening the services. I just think is amazing. So please extend a thank you to her as well.
All right. Yes,
I absolutely will share that.
Yeah.
Tina or Lisa, do you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Tina. I work at the CAC. I'm the administrative assistant.
Hi, Tina. Hi. Nice to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you.
I'm Lisa. I'm the case coordinator at the Child Advocacy Center. Nice to meet you guys.
Thank you.
Amber would have been here too, but she had a case this morning in Penn. So I know that she makes a lot of referrals over to you guys too. So
I realized the green was up, so I just I should grab her.
Oh.
We had Elaine Lewis on earlier. I know she had to scoot a little early. She's from Yates County DSS, so she was on getting some information as well. And somebody was on with a phone, but I'm not entirely sure who that was. It's hard to tell, you know, it just comes up as a phone number, but they're off too. So I don't know if that was also Elaine or if that was a different person.
Okay, great. Thank you guys.
Thanks
for that.
Nice to see. Like I said, it's so nice to see faces, to like be able to like put a face to names. I don't know if you just heard me, it popped up. I think Sarah, your picture popped up, and I was like, oh, is that Sarah? I'm like, oh my gosh, we're seeing faces and everything. I was like, yay.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's nice to see everyone.
Mm-hmm. I look forward to COVID being over. I look forward to those meetings again where people are just around a table.
I know.
I prefer that.
I know that Marsha shared in the chat box Kim's email for you for the restorative practices.
Great.
Are you able to see that in the chat? And then if Carrie and Erin, if you want to put your email in there for everybody else in case they have questions or want to reach out to you for any follow-up.
Okay, great. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I try also not to be like so close to the screen that it's like huge close-up of my. Okay. There we go. That's mine. I always mention.
I do like the idea that Marcia mentioned. Oh, sorry, am I interrupting somebody?
That's okay. Oh, no. I was talking to myself.
Internet gets slow. I do like the idea that Marcia mentioned about having like a packet of all services.
Yeah.
I know that at the CAC we offer that to all the families, and it does have a lot of like community resources and services that are available. And we give that to all of the families who come through. One of the other things that we've done is creating a QR code so that if taking that packet is something that isn't isn't helpful to the family, or if it's going to put somebody at danger or whatnot, giving them that QR code to scan, and then it takes them directly to the website where all of those services are listed as well. So and it helps save them being just thrown in the back of the car,
Right. Yeah.
But,
Yeah, we do have a QR code. It's on every one of our business cards as well as our pamphlets. But the folder idea, the packet idea, I agree.
We give like this card. It's gonna be hard to see, I think. But I don't know if you can see like in the corner. Yeah. Yeah. So that's like our card.
That's a great idea. I'm gonna mention
And
that.
if you're in Geneva and stop by Catholic Charities, I'm sure they would share one of the packets with you.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, I've seen those. They brought one of those to CAST, I think, Marcia, and they were really, really nice because, well, yeah, what Marcia was saying is that it's just like things that slide right into the middle. So if you eliminate a program or you get a new service in that program, you can just replace the one card instead of the whole packet, and that's really nice.
Yeah, thanks for letting us know. Yeah.
That's what networking is all about.
Oh yeah. That's why we need you guys.
Well, I think we're.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you again to Carrie and Aaron for taking the time out to meet with us and go over some of the programs and services that Family Counseling provides. It's a great partnership, and we're happy that we have it.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Having us.
And do you think we'll have Lakeview do a lunch and learn some point?
I mean, we could if you really want.
No pressure.
You'll have to hear that though. If I do it from home.
That might be helpful. Maybe it'd be helpful to kind of know more about Honey and Chunny, and I feel like we get the glimpse of things, but
yeah, I agree.
It's always good to have
like what Lakeview offers.
Yeah, I can definitely talk to my supervisor because I can't really speak a ton to Honey, but I can speak about Chunny.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can definitely talk about that for sure.
Sorry, Sarah, giving you work to do.
No, because, well, there's a lot going on right now. The fall is always the crazy time of year for me. My list is awfully long of all the things that I'm trying to accomplish, but it helps to have, to hear what people want or what would be useful, because that's really the goal with everything that I'm trying to do with providing trainings and education and just opportunities to engage and connect with each other. I never want it to be something that people feel like they don't need. So if there's a specific request, I love to hear them.
Great. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you.
It's about lunchtime. So, and unfortunately in this virtual platform, our lunch and learn is really just think about lunch while you learn.
Right.
And I'm sure we're all hungry.
Think about eating.
Got it. Thanks.
Y'all be safe.
But thank you all again.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Everybody.
Hi, everyone.
Bye.